Rachel Sanderson in the Chilterns there. Dairy farmers in Northern Ireland say they're concerned about the price they'll get for their milk after a drop of more than 3 pence a litre at the latest milk auction. The Ulster Farmers Union says auction prices, which also set prices for milk processors, have fallen more than 20% since the beginning of the year. The chairman of its Dairy Policy Committee, Andrew Addison, told me that means some farmers are losing money.
That's quite a significant drop, and it'll be taking farmers, the less efficient ones, into a loss-making situation when they count their feed, fertiliser and fuel. And for to get a proper wage return for themselves, they'll be working for nothing, so they will be at the moment.
How unusual is this sort of drop?
It's quite unusual. The last time we had this drop was, I think, in 2009, and that started into the spiral where there was very poor profitability in 2009 for the whole of 2009, and we're hoping that this doesn't end up as another 2009 situation. Given
what's also happened to Dairy Crest farmers in the past few days, which we'll hear about in a moment, are you concerned about the future for milk and milk prices?
We don't want to sound alarmist here, but if this would continue on, yes, we would be very concerned. But we're hoping that's maybe just a seasonal pattern. Now, it's a bigger than normal seasonal pattern, and perhaps when we get over the seasonal high is next month or the month after that, and we see cows, milk volumes reducing, that the price will rise up again. But we don't want to see any more undue pressure on the price of milk.
Andrew Addison in County Antrim. Well, 500 dairy farmers face a 2 pence a litre cut in their milk price from tomorrow. As we reported, the milk processor Dairy Crest gave 4 days' notice of the cut. The company declined an interview, but says it's reduced its own costs before making this decision and is acting to secure the future of its dairies in what it says is a very challenging market. Gloucestershire dairy farmer Keith Withers has a contract with the company. He told me this means he'll be working at a loss for the next year, and it's all too easy to work out how much it'll cost him.
I'm afraid it's very simple arithmetic. 2 pence times 1.5 million litres or so is £30,000. Each time the tank comes to collect milk, £200 or £300. Well, I've been talking today with members of staff who work for me, and it doesn't take a genius to work out that money is one member of staff. But in farming, you can't just reduce the amount of work, because if you get rid of the chap doing the work for you, you've got to do the work yourself.
At this point,
yeah,
would you consider just getting out of milk altogether?
Yeah, I would. Very strongly.
Keith Withers. Well, the government's expressed its disappointment at the cut, while the National Farmers Union says it's appalled. Rob Newbury is the union's chief dairy advisor. He says dairy contracts, which allow processors to set prices but insist farmers give a year's notice if they want to sell to another company, are fundamentally unfair.
The issue we've got is that a standard dairy contract is a very bad contract. One of the basics you'd expect is certainty of terms, and this is what farmers don't have in dairy contracts. They have no certainty over the price they're paid. The European Commission have recognised this, and they've actually come forward with legislation which was implemented this year, which says that the price in a dairy contract should be determinable. Now, in the UK, DEFRA are in a position to implement this or not if we don't need it. So what they've done is they suggested the industry works in a voluntary code of best practice. We're working on this today with the dairy processors. We believe that the price should either be determinable, so it's either fixed or changes in accordance with a formula. We believe that all farmers should be able to negotiate their price or be empowered to set the price through perhaps their representative's position on the board which is setting the price in the business. Or if the buyer has to retain discretion to change price, which is how it works today, then we believe that if a farmer disagrees with that price change, they should be able to leave the contract early. There should be a break clause where farmers disagree with a price which is imposed on them.
Dairy Crest have not taken this decision lightly at all. They say they're forced into this to protect the rest of their business at what is a very difficult time for the company.
Dairy Crest margins have been severely eroded by the price at which milk is being sold. Milk has been deflating when other food categories have been inflating. And now, at a time when cost of production at farm have been increasing, today the cost of producing a litre of milk at the farm is around 30 pence a litre. Dairy Crest have cut their milk price back to just over 26 pence a litre, so farmers will be losing 4 pence a litre. Now, because of these weak contracts, the path of least resistance for dairy processors looking to rebuild their margin is taking it from the farmer. The place it needs to come from is the marketplace. That's a tough reality in the market we're in and in a recession, but ultimately it has to come from there to have a sustainable dairy industry going forwards.
What do you expect in the short term the government to do? It has already said that it sees this price cut as disappointing.
And we'll be looking for clear signals from the Minister, Jim Pace, that actually the way this particular price cut was implemented was totally unacceptable, and that we need to address this type of practice through a voluntary code. Failing that, a clear signal that if we don't agree on this voluntary code, we will get legislation which will give farmers the protection they so desperately need to stop this kind of activity happening in the future.
Rob Newbury from the NFU. Dairy Crest farmers who supply milk for cheese or on supermarket contracts are not affected by this cut. Industry analysts predict other companies may now cut their prices over the next few months. And Andrew Branton, who represents Dairy Crest farmers in Devon, says for those affected, this drop is a blow.
Well, it's a complete kick in the teeth for the dairy industry, and everybody was feeling that things were going on a little bit better, and all the other major dairy firms had held their prices. And now we're incredibly disappointed that it's us that's taking the hit. Well, my phone hadn't stopped ringing this morning, really, with angry dairy farmers checking the contracts to see how fast they can get out.
Dairy Crest, though, is a company in a difficult situation, isn't it? It's closing 2 plants, it's got the impact of world commodity prices. They say they're having to do this to protect the rest of the business.
Having met with them, I've no doubt that they are in a difficult position. It's largely is down to the fact that the liquid side they've cut each other's throats trying to increase market share, and I don't blame particularly Dairy Crest for that. Farmers supply Dairy Crest on the idea that it's liquids and brands in order to give them some protection from the commodity side of things, and yet we're the first ones to go down.
What do you think needs to change?
I think we seriously need to look at how the deals are done at the far end. Processors are cutting each other's throats to get business. That is simply an unsustainable way to do business. And it won't be just Dairy Crest that's in this position, and it's very sad for the whole industry. I reckon that the consumers are under pressure as well, but we have to find some way of creating a more sustainable chain through the system.
Andrew Branton in Devon. That's it from us. I'm Charlotte Smith. The producer was Angela Frame.